We've got to give up our liberties. The world has changed forever. We're going to have a war on terror. We've got to invade Syria, Iraq, Iran, a list. It was a talking point. Osama bin Laden. And there's all these weird tapes of guys very well-spoken, look just like operatives. They're not good spies because they look like textbook CIA. In their little baseball caps going, yes, I did see the buildings fall because of the jet fuel and the pancaking, and it fell into its own self. And on other newscasts, similar-looking guys at the same time, just going, oh, yeah, I'm ready to be interviewed. Yes, fell, of course, from the jet fuel and the pancaking. The fires were just too hot. Boom, 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 and you're watching it. Just like with JFK, in 3 different countries in the Pacific where they made a mistake. What was it? Thailand, Australia, and one other. You can pull this up. Before Oswald was even arrested, before his name was released, hours before, they had Lee Harvey Oswald's photo and his name. Because they got their time zones messed up. Any operation like this, they're going to mess up. Now, that key evidence came to us in multiple ways. Jane Stanley and another live channel both put out at the same time that Building 7 had fallen in on itself from fires and gave the official story. While Building 7 was right behind them, 25 minutes before it fell. Now, I went and did research about who gives the BBC their main internal feed, and it's Reuters. And I made videos and predicted. Now, BBC came out and said we were liars, it wasn't real video, which was insane. Then a month later, they said, okay, it was our real video, but we've lost the original tapes. Then We Are Change England talked to the reporters, and both reporters, when they were confronted, said, I never reported on 9/11. I remember taking my son to the theater that day, and the guy was obviously lying. And then people go, well, here's the video of it, you know, on a laptop. And he goes, oh, now I do remember. Now again, they were told to lie about it. Both definitely operatives. A lot of your national media are intelligence, or they get 2 paychecks. It's called Operation Mockingbird here in the U.S. Ladies and gentlemen, and then later it was confirmed, Reuters had sent them, had jumped the gun on the detonation of Building 7.
We now take you live
to the Central Texas Command Center
in the heart of the resistance. You are listening to The Alex Jones Show.
All right, I'll start going to your calls before this segment ends, but then we're going to have nothing but calls and a smattering of other economic news in the second hour. But I want to hear from you on 9/11, then we'll move to the next person. But I started telling the story at the very start of the show, but never finished it, just briefly. I was in a Radio Shack today buying an all-weather emergency radio because our old one I've had for a decade broke. Power supply on it did. And, you know, a gentleman came up to me and said, hey, I recognize your voice. I listen to you on the radio. He said, you know, why are you still alive? And I get asked that a lot. And imagine being asked that every day on the street and in emails and calls. You know, I'm not afraid to die, but I'm certainly not in a hurry to die. I would never commit suicide. And if they kill me, it makes me a martyr. It's really simple. But it's also, I believe in God. And you know, I pray that if it's God's will that he put up a hedge of protection around me. And I know that millions of people pray for me. And I couldn't be doing what I do without you. You know, I believe in providence. And I've boldly stood up and told the truth and let the chips fall where they may. And that's why I'm still here today. But they may change their mind. The globalists may do something to me in the future. Just out of anger. And if they do, that's the way it is. Because we can't just sit here and cower in the face of death or in the face of being laughed at or ridiculed and go along with the official fable that is 9/11. Because even if you believe the official story, it has been used, as the head of Homeland Security admitted 2 years ago in a book, Governor Ridge, it's been used for political purposes, fake terror alerts, you name it. And all over the country, people now pull up to checkpoints. The TSA is now on the streets. The Army. I see them directing families through whole car scanning systems that are very dangerous. I've had radiologists on. They make chest x-rays look healthy. Well, the border's wide open. That's like leaving the castle gates open, but then searching everybody in their beds at night and, you know, beating little children. It makes no sense unless the perpetrators are the military-industrial complex and the big banks that own them. It's the oldest trick in the book to attack yourself to take over. Okay? It is the oldest trick in the book. And our government has done it over and over again. Other governments have done it. Now, again, it isn't our government, the people that have hijacked it. So I'm begging you. I know it's painful. I know it's sad. I know that if you admit these truths to yourself, what are you going to do? I know it's tribal to not like people that don't look like you, and it's kind of fun to get into hating foreigners. But in every case, Western governments are financing these people. You know, radical Muslims, and it turns out a lot of them in England are government funded to divide and conquer, can do whatever they want. But in the UK, Daily Mail's reporting UK Bible recordings deemed offensive. 45,000 CDs mailed out to members of the church and the community of the Gospel of Mark are seen as hateful, and the mail system refuses to ship them. You know, people get arrested in Canada for reading Bible verses. If you don't believe me, just search it. It's like saying, you know, people get arrested for selling lemonade. Don't believe me, just search it. People can't have gardens in their yard. Don't believe me, just search it. This is the new system. See, they now admit in all their new PSAs what I told you years ago was being done behind the scenes. None of the war on terror has to deal with, quote, Muslim extremists. Even if you believe in that and like to get scared of it and like to get freaked out, understand it was always built for everybody. But they start with an unpopular minority first, just like Hitler. You don't know about Operation Northwood, search it. If you don't know about Building 7, search it. Now, this is even more powerful when you watch the video, and the video is up at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. It's titled Public Awakens to Building 7 Hoax. And here's Darren McBreen on the streets in Austin, one of our reporters. This is from Infowars Nightly News Friday. And I'm going to do a test. We'll see what happens when we go out. You know, it's a random grab bag, but we're going to post these to PrisonPlanet.tv, not as nightly news, but you know, as special reports. Well, we're going to go out with a microphone and just ask questions, and then give each person 1 minute at it. We'll do like 30 minutes with a time code running, and this will be like a poll or a focus group. But we talked to 15 people, all but one think that they blew up Building 7 or that it's questionable. Looks suspicious. And we didn't put the guy in that disagreed because it was incoherent and long. And we didn't put in all the people that agreed either because, you know, some of them were too long. But here's the quick report. And then I'm going to go out and do an unedited one in the next few weeks on the same subject and just run a special report where you can see it for yourself. And this is what I've experienced. But we do have scientific polls like New York Times, Angus and Reid. 5 years ago, 83% believe the government's lying about what really happened. Of course, 6 of the 10 commissioners have come out and said it's a criminal cover-up. We have articles on that. Let's go ahead and go to this special report. Here it is.
Thank you, Alex. I'm Darren McBreen for Infowars Nightly News. We're here at the University of Texas in Austin just days before the 10th anniversary of 9/11. And we're wondering how many people are aware that there was a third tower that fell, Building 7, which was not hit by a plane, but collapsed demolition style at 5:20 p.m., many hours after the first 2 towers fell. What are your thoughts when you see that? This was not hit by an airplane. It collapsed many hours after the first 2 towers fell.
I mean, it sort of looks like a planned demolition, but it could also be a lot of other things.
Oh, wow.
Have you ever seen that video before?
I have, actually. It was, this is weird, but it was one of those conspiracy videos I saw, but yeah, it was pretty crazy, the video I saw. It just, like, dropped straight down.
Have you ever seen the video before?
Not at that building, no. No.
Do you find it interesting that it was not featured in the 9/11 Commission report?
It wasn't featured at all? That is interesting. That is interesting. And it looked, you know, it was a very controlled blast, it seemed.
What are your thoughts when you see that building go down like that?
I don't really know what happened to it. I don't think anyone, like, the government probably wouldn't tell us.
I'm actually in the College of Architecture as a grad student and have seen several demolitions, and it does look completely controlled.
I mean, it looked like a controlled demolition. It didn't look like the explosion happened from, like, one side, like, coming in or anything like that. It looked like it kind of happened from the bottom and just kind of imploded on itself.
Is that the first time you've seen the video?
Yes, definitely.
That's the first time I've ever seen that, yeah.
This is my first time actually hearing about Building 7, so, you know, that tells you how much they've covered it, but that's very weird. It really looks like a demolition implosion.
I don't remember saying it at all. I remember watching both the second tower collapse live, and I don't remember hearing or seeing anything at the time about that.
As most of the InfoWars audience is aware, World Trade Center leaseholder Larry Silverstein gave the okay to pull the building moments before Building 7 collapsed. BBC's Jane Stanley even reported Building 7's collapse minutes before the event actually happened. You can even see Building 7 clearly behind her as she gives the report.
Yesterday I watched a video where a news lady was talking and she said the third building just fell. But behind her, the third building had not fallen yet. So that's weird.
Jane Stanley.
You saw that then, yeah.
Oh, of course, of course.
Like, she's like, oh, it fell down and it's still behind her.
You would think that she would wait till it fell, even if she had insider information that the thing was going down. She has some sort of ESP.
There are currently close to 1,500 architects and engineers who are saying that it was indeed a controlled demolition.
Well, I mean, that's the kind of thing where we need some sort of investigation, you know, and if the government isn't going to do that sort of investigating, then we need a third party to step in and, you know, have the authority and the resources to do that.
I mean, like a lot of people, you know, question the Warren Commission. That doesn't make all of them kooks or conspiracy theorists.
What do you feel about losing a lot of our civil liberties since 9/11?
It sucks. You know, you have, you know, people that can invade your phone calls and text messages and emails, and so you really don't have any privacy, and that really scares me.
You know, so I think that 9/11 was sort of the Trojan horse for all that sort of policy to come in.
If you notice, there's free speech zones. We can only free speech in certain areas now. So, yeah, it's almost like everything that we once had is slowly shrinking.
Is it worth it to make us more safe, to lose our liberties?
No, certainly not. I mean, you know, 9/11 was a terrible event, but in terms of the things that have happened since then making us more safe, I'd say that's the other side of the coin.
Do you think there needs to be a new investigation into September 11th?
I don't think it would hurt. I don't know how much we would know about it or, again, maybe how unbiased it would be, but I think it always is something that is interesting to look at further.
I think America should demand a new investigation.
Definitely be interesting to see things that I'm sure the government didn't want the public knowing at the time.
The only way to get to the bottom of it is to do more research.
I honestly believe the government's corrupt. Everyone lies. I don't think people should just put all their faith and trust in a government who is just completely selfish and only worrying about themselves.
10 years after 9/11, we could see that much of the public is aware that they're not being told everything there is to know about the tragic events of that.
There's a few more minutes of the report, but I just want to add, giving up liberty does not make you more safe. The #1 killer of populations is governments. They always use fake crises to set up their police states. We'll be back with the second hour.